May 16th, 1992. A packed show in Culiacán. Mid-song, someone hands Chalino Sánchez a note. He reads it. His face changes. Sweat forms. Then he does something inexplicable. He keeps singing Alma Enamorada, as if choosing it as his last. 12 hours later, his body was found on a roadside. To understand why Chalino sang his own death, you have to understand the violent life that put him on that stage. Chalino Sánchez, Felix, was born into a world already marked by loss. Las Flechas, a remote ranch in the dry hills outside Culiacán, offered little but dust, hunger, and the slow violence of poverty. He hated the name Chalino. He would become Chalino, a name that carried steel. By the time he was 6, his father, Santos, was dead from a fall in the fields. The family scraped by, working land that belonged to others, with 7 children and a mother, Señorina, left to hold them together. In these fields, Chalino learned early that survival required a kind of hardness most children never face. But even the worst days of hunger could not prepare him for what came next. His sister Juana, the only girl among the brothers, was taken and raped by men from the area, one of them known as El Chapo Perez. The family's grief turned to silence, then to rage. Chalino was just a boy, but the code of Sinaloa demanded an answer. For years, he carried the memory like a wound. Then, at 15, during a crowded party in September 1975, he found El Chapo Perez. Witnesses say Chalino walked up and shot him point blank. Perez's brothers drew their guns, bullets tore through the air, and Chalino escaped with his life, but not his innocence. That night, he became an outlaw. There was no going back to Las Flechas, no forgiveness from the men he had crossed. The only way forward was exile. He slipped away toward the border, carrying nothing but his anger and a story that would haunt every song he ever wrote. In the blood-soaked soil of Sinaloa, Chalino's fate was sealed long before he ever picked up a microphone. His voice, raw and defiant, was born in the knowledge that every kindness could be met with violence and every act of love might demand a price in blood. In Los Angeles, exile hardened into something else. Chalino's brother Armando was found dead in a Tijuana hotel in July 1984, shot, left alone in a city that chewed up men like him. Grief was a sickness Chalino could not shake. Locked in a cell at La Mesa prison, he picked up a pen and began writing corridos, not for legends, but for the living and the damned. The first was for Armando, recordando a Armando Sánchez. It was not just a song, it was a bullet of memory, a way to keep his brother from vanishing into the dust. Word spread through the cell blocks. Inmates with stories, drug runners, killers, men with nothing left, paid him in cash, in watches, in guns, to immortalize their deeds. The music was raw, urgent. Chalino called his style barking. He did not care for pretty notes. He sang like a man shouting warnings through a storm. When he got out, Los Angeles was a city of hustlers and ghosts. Chalino hustled too, washing dishes, selling cars, running small-time deals. But by 1987, a producer named Angel Parra caught wind of his prison tapes. Parra booked a session with Los Four de la Frontera. 15 songs, 1 cassette for each client. The demand exploded. Soon, Chalino was selling tapes from the trunk of his car at swap meets, quinceañeras, baptisms, anywhere people remembered Sinaloa. By 1989, he quit washing dishes. He carried a gun to every show. People did not just listen to Chalino, they believed him. His voice was a warning and a promise. He was not singing about danger, he was singing from inside it. January 25th, 1992. Plaza Los Arcos in Coachella, California, pulsed with the sound of accordions and gunmetal nerves. Chalino Sánchez stood on stage, his pistol tucked at his waist. The crowd pressed close, people who knew every lyric and every threat that came with singing them. In the middle of the set, a man named Eduardo Gallegos, high on heroin and liquor, forced his way through the crowd and climbed onto the stage. He drew a handgun and fired at Chalino. Shots thundered through the club. Chalino pulled his own 10mm and fired back, bullets ricocheting off tile and bone. In seconds, the dance floor became a battlefield. Claudio Rene Carranza, just 20, was killed where he stood. Ignacio Nacho Hernandez, the accordion player, took a bullet in the thigh. 10 others were hit in the chaos. Chalino did not fall. Gallegos was wrestled to the ground and would later be sentenced to 20 years to life. His motives were forever muddied. Some say he acted alone, others whisper about a contract, a message sent in the language of blood. That night, the myth of Chalino grew darker. He walked off that stage alive, but everyone in the room understood the rules had changed. Violence was no longer just a story in his songs. It was waiting for him in the spotlight. Quietly, in the weeks before his return to Sinaloa, Chalino began tying up loose ends. Family stories say he met with Maricela, his wife, and spoke of the future as if he might not be in it. There are rumors, never proven, that he sold the rights to his songs to Musart Records, trading the promise of royalties for quick cash. Some say this money went toward a house for Maricela, a last act of protection in a life built on risk. Others recall him giving away prized guns to friends in Los Angeles, as if he knew he would not need them where he was going. There are no contracts, no receipts, only the uneasy certainty in the voices of those who remember these days. His departure from Los Angeles felt different, marked by a hush that settled over the family. Maricela later described a sense of finality, an unspoken goodbye. Even as he packed for Sinaloa, Chalino moved through his home like a man settling accounts. The myth grows in the spaces left by missing paperwork and whispered memories. What is certain is that he boarded a plane in May 1992, leaving behind a city that had become both sanctuary and battlefield. In those final preparations, the shadow of what was coming seemed to fall over everything, but still, he went. After midnight, the roads outside Culiacán were silent but for the low hum of engines and the distant call of night birds. Chalino left Salon Bugambilias with his brothers, his cousin, and a handful of young women, packed into a Ford, the air thick with the residue of applause and something heavier. On the outskirts, black Chevrolet Suburbans appeared out of the darkness, blocking their path. Men stepped out, faces hard, weapons visible, state police badges glinting in the headlights. One spoke with the authority of someone used to being obeyed. Their commander wanted to see Chalino. No one argued. A bribe was offered and refused. Chalino did not fight, did not run. He stepped into the waiting Suburban, swallowed by the night. By dawn, 2 farmers found his body by an irrigation canal near Federal Highway 15 in the La Presida neighborhood. Blindfolded, wrists marked by rope, he had been shot twice in the back of the head. The execution was clean and methodical, with no signs of torture, no struggle. The Sinaloa Attorney General's office announced an investigation, but released nothing. No suspects, no arrests, no answers. The silence from officials was as thick as the heat rising off the canal. In the fields where his story began, Chalino's body lay alone, the violence that shaped him, written at last in blood and dust. The myth, now unmoored from the man, drifted into legend. No one has ever named Chalino Sanchez's killer. Theories multiply in the silence. Some say his murder was revenge, old blood feuds from the hills of Sinaloa, debts that could only be paid in death. Others point to the cartels, angered by his songs that made legends of men who should have stayed in the shadows. There are whispers, too, of jealous rivals, of love affairs gone wrong, of police corruption so deep it swallowed the truth whole. But every theory leaves something unsaid. The only certainty is that the case remains open, the files locked away, and the note handed to Chalino that night never surfaced again. What can be counted are the songs. More than 150 corridos have been written in tribute since that day, each one another attempt to solve the riddle, to claim a piece of his legend. Music historians trace a direct line from Chalino's raw, unvarnished style to the new generation of corrido singers. Peso Pluma, Natanael Cano, and Fuerza Régida all carry echoes of his defiance. In 2023, banners appeared in Tijuana, threatening Peso Pluma with death for lyrics that praised the wrong cartel. The warning was clear. The price for singing certain truths has not changed. Chalino's voice still cuts through time, battered and real, refusing to vanish. Every corrido written in his name is a reminder that the mystery is not just who killed him, but why the world keeps listening. In the end, his story is unfinished, a song with no last verse, a myth that refuses to die. Even now, Chalino's rough voice cuts through static and time, a wounded anthem against silence. No theory erases the fact. His songs outlived his killers. In every verse, danger and tenderness collide. That defiance, raw, unpolished, unafraid, still echoes wherever truth costs blood. What do you hear in his final note?